The sound of ocean waves crash gently against the Portuguese coastline. A warm breeze drifts through the seaside town of Praia da Luz. Families stroll along cobbled streets, unaware that history is about to be written in fear and mystery. It was May 3rd, 2007. The McCann family, Jerry, Kate, and their 3 young children, were halfway through a sunny holiday at the Ocean Club Resort. Days filled with swimming pools and sandy beaches. Nights spent in the company of friends, enjoying dinner while the children slept just a few meters away. But by 10 p.m. that Thursday night, the holiday turned into a nightmare. 3-year-old Madeleine McCann vanished without a trace. Her disappearance would ignite one of the largest missing persons investigations the world has ever seen. It would spark controversy, finger-pointing, and endless theories. Was she abducted by a stranger? Taken by someone closer? Or did something else entirely happen inside apartment 5A? This is the haunting story of Madeleine McCann, the girl who disappeared, and the case that still divides the world. Praia da Luz, Portugal. A sleepy resort town popular with British tourists. The McCanns were not alone on their trip. They were accompanied by a group of friends, often referred to as the Tapas 7, because of their nightly gatherings at a nearby restaurant. The routine was simple. Each night, the adults dined together while the children slept in their apartments. Every half hour, one of the parents would leave the table to check on the kids. It seemed safe. It seemed responsible. But May 3rd would shatter that illusion. At approximately 9 p.m., Jerry McCann checked on the children, Madeleine and her younger twin siblings, and reported all was well. But less than an hour later, when Kate McCann entered the apartment at 10 p.m., she found the twins asleep in their cribs. Madeleine's bed was empty. The shutters were raised. The window stood open, and Madeleine was gone. Kate ran back to the restaurant, screaming, "They've taken her. Someone's taken Madeleine." Within minutes, resort staff and guests were searching the grounds. By 10:30 p.m., the Portuguese police had been called, but already precious time and vital evidence was slipping away. How could a child vanish from her bed in less than half an hour? And why did no one see a thing? From the very first night, the questions mounted faster than the answers. The initial search was chaotic. Neighbors, holidaymakers, and resort staff combed the streets with flashlights, calling Madeleine's name. Police arrived but did not immediately seal the apartment, a mistake that would later prove costly. Inside apartment 5A, potential evidence was trampled by dozens of feet. Fingerprints were smudged. The crime scene compromised. Witnesses gave conflicting accounts. One friend claimed to have seen a man carrying a child in pajamas near the apartment around 9:30 p.m. Another reported unusual behavior in the hours leading up to the disappearance. But with each passing minute, Madeleine's trail grew colder. The Portuguese police initially suspected a local abduction, perhaps a burglary gone wrong. But as the hours turned into days, suspicion turned elsewhere, toward the McCanns themselves. Meanwhile, media frenzy exploded. Within 24 hours, Madeleine's face was on front pages across Europe. The blonde-haired, green-eyed child became the most recognized missing girl in the world. But was this media storm helping the investigation, or burying it under pressure and confusion? In the first days after Madeleine's disappearance, Portuguese police cast their net wide. They interviewed staff at the resort, nearby residents, and known offenders in the area. But as the hours passed without a breakthrough, suspicion began to turn inward. The police were struck by the unusual circumstances. No signs of forced entry, no clear evidence of struggle, no ransom demand. Some investigators began to whisper the unthinkable. Could the parents themselves be involved? By September 2007, just 4 months after the disappearance, both Kate and Jerry McCann were officially declared arguidos, formal suspects under Portuguese law. The media exploded. Front pages screamed accusations. Television anchors speculated endlessly. But what was the evidence? Police pointed to the family's behavior, Kate's composure under pressure, Jerry's public statements, inconsistencies in friends' testimonies. Later, DNA tests suggested traces of Madeleine's blood may have been found in the apartment and in the rental car the McCanns used. But as experts later testified, the forensic evidence was inconclusive. Too little material, too much contamination, and the car had been rented weeks after Madeleine vanished. Still, the damage was done. The narrative had shifted. The grieving parents were now fighting not only for their missing daughter, but for their reputations. Were the McCanns unfairly vilified? Or were police closing in on a darker truth? As the official investigation struggled, the public imagination filled the void. Theories multiplied, each more sensational than the last. Some believed Madeleine had been kidnapped by a child trafficking ring, spirited away from Portugal within hours. This theory gained traction as supposed sightings of Madeleine were reported everywhere, from Morocco to Spain to even South America. None were ever confirmed. Others suspected a local predator. Witnesses described a man loitering near the McCann's apartment in the days before the disappearance. Sketches were released, leads were chased, but no arrests were made. Then there were the more disturbing theories, that Madeleine had died accidentally in the apartment, perhaps from a fall or from medication, and that her parents, in panic, had covered it up. This became the cornerstone of Portuguese police suspicion. But again, there was no conclusive proof. Years later, new suspects emerged. In 2020, German prosecutors named Christian Bruckner, a convicted sex offender living in Portugal at the time, as a prime suspect. They claimed to have evidence Madeleine was dead, but offered no details to the public. To this day, no charges have been filed. Meanwhile, the McCanns clung to hope. They launched a global campaign: billboards, interviews, fundraising events. Their daughter's face became impossible to ignore, and with each supposed sighting, each news headline, the world asked the same question: was Madeleine still alive, or had the truth been buried long ago? The disappearance of Madeleine McCann was not just a personal tragedy. It became a global media phenomenon. The British press, in particular, covered the case relentlessly. Tabloid headlines accused, defended, speculated. Television documentaries aired. The McCanns became both symbols of grief and targets of suspicion. Politicians intervened. The British Prime Minister at the time, Gordon Brown, personally contacted the Portuguese authorities. The case became a matter of diplomatic tension between the UK and Portugal. Financially, the McCanns raised millions through the Find Madeleine Fund, using it to fund private investigations and campaigns. Supporters donated, while critics accused them of profiting from tragedy. Social media, still in its early years, became a breeding ground for theories and accusations. To this day, forums and groups debate the case with a fervor more typical of conspiracy theories than police investigations. Why did this case, above so many others, capture the world's attention? Was it the haunting image of a smiling child, the unusual circumstances, or the way suspicion turned against the very people who cried for her return? More than 16 years have passed, and still, Madeleine's fate remains unknown. In 2011, the British government launched Operation Grange, a new police review of the case. Detectives re-examined old evidence, chased new leads, and re-interviewed witnesses. But after years of work and more than £13 million spent, no breakthrough has been announced. In 2020, the German police named Christian Bruckner as the prime suspect. He was a known offender with a history of assaults, and he had lived near Praia da Luz in 2007. Prosecutors stated they had concrete evidence Madeleine was dead, but they never disclosed what that evidence was. As of today, Bruckner has not been charged in connection to her disappearance. Kate and Jerry McCann continue to fight. Each year, on Madeleine's birthday, they release a message of hope. They have never stopped believing that answers are out there. The case remains open. The mystery remains unsolved. The waves crash once more against the Praia da Luz coastline. The shutters of apartment 5A are closed now, the holidaymakers long gone. But the silence that lingers in that small resort town carries the weight of a question still unanswered. What happened to Madeleine McCann? Was she taken by a stranger, spirited away under the cover of night? Did she fall victim to something closer to home? Or is the truth something so unexpected that the world has yet to imagine it? If you're still here, subscribe, because cases like this deserve more eyes and more voices. And tell us, what do you think happened to Madeleine McCann? Leave your theories in the comments below, because somewhere someone knows the truth. And until that truth is uncovered, the world will not rest.